question from Thom Forester, who says, Thom Forester, sorry, the natural capital assets model would effectively privatise all land within the public forestry estate by permitting companies and financial institutions to have a controlling financial stake, for example, the carbon containing within the PFE. Do panellists consider that there have been adequate public consultation and that the general public and indeed local authorities have been fully informed of the implications of this policy? Thank you. And does anyone want to comment on the natural capital assets model about effectively privatising the public forestry estate?
I think the question goes even broader than that, actually, the implications of it, because what it is the use of carbon from land and whether there's been adequate public consultation about that. And certainly that's another knotty piece that we're all presently wrestling with as to who retains the carbon, who gets the benefit of it, particularly in the context where land might be being let as a farm, for example, and you need carbon to grow. The only thing we can say, one of the earlier questions actually referred to that landlord-tenant dynamic with carbon. The only thing I think that we can helpfully say is that it is still a work in progress. Unfortunately, there are some quite deep philosophical questions behind it, and at the moment there aren't answers, and public debate is only just beginning.
Wow, Guy, thank you so much for sort of fleshing everything out in the way you have. I've scribbled down so much. I wanted to, if I can, to pick up a couple of questions which we didn't get time to put in the questions to panelists earlier. And one specifically in relation to the public forestry estate, because you mentioned you put quite a focus on tree planting, and that was from Thom Forester. It was actually the session before I took over, but it was the natural asset capital model, when applied to the public forestry estate, constitutes a form of privatization by proxy, by permitting large corporate bodies and financial institutions to own a controlling financial stake in our public woodlands. I wondered if you wanted to, I know that's a comment rather than a question, but he actually put a number of follow-up questions in the chat, which I won't sort of take up time now with, but if you wanted to respond to that.
Okay, that's well, look, what can I say about that? I know it's the historic role of the Forestry Commission and the trade-offs that the Forestry Commission has to deal with in terms of, timber production as being an important part of their goals, but at the same time, clearly getting a better understanding over time about the diversity benefits of having, as I said, a balanced kind of woodland policy. I think it's really important. I'm not going to say too much about it. It's not really my area of expertise about the history of the Forestry Commission. What I would say is that the government is setting out some very clear targets in order to be able to make sure that we plant the right trees, and we'll do that over time. Forestry Commission is absolutely at the heart of that, but of course there's always a fair challenge about whether or not it's set up in the way that it should be. But I won't say much more than that. It sounds as if Thom Forester has got a very clear view about how he feels it's working, but I'm happy to kind of take it away if there are any specific questions. I'll have a look at them in the chain.